Collins, and it's my pleasure to bring you a chapter from Betting on Him. Now, I have recorded this like no less than 10 times today, and I can't do it without error. So bear with me. We're going to get through this together, and I hope that you love it. So here goes. What do you mean you're getting married? Trish sat across from me and drowned her fry in ketchup. You just met him. I don't know what to say. It was just like the fairy tale. I saw him and knew he was the one. He felt the same way. Inside, my stomach twisted. I wasn't sure I was doing the right thing. All I knew was my options were limited. They had dwindled down to marrying Alex or living in a TV box next to the guy who lived in a refrigerator box behind the casino. What do you know about him? Trish leaned back and patted her stomach as if an order of fries stuffed her to capacity. He has good taste in alcohol. I left out that he was Vincent Wilde's son. That would say more than I wanted her to know. And if she didn't connect the dots, it wasn't my fault. Well, so do most drunks. But they can't afford the good stuff long term. They serve the good stuff to reel you in. It will be Boone's Farm from here on out, my friend. I rolled my eyes. Says the girl who finished my box wine last night. I hated to be less than honest with her, but part of the agreement was that the marriage needed to be perceived as real. Maybe I'm marrying him for his money. I can get behind that for sure. You haven't even seen the goods, though. What if he isn't gifted in the right places? Oh, I don't know. He's a very large man. Could be steroids. You know what they say about guys on steroids. I laughed. No. What do they say? She smiled. Big pecs, little decks. How would you even know? Although Trish wasn't all that selective, lately she'd spent more time batting for the V team than the D team. Oh, I know. She aggressively nodded her head as if the exaggerated movement would prove her point. What does he do again? I told her Alex wasn't gaming, but I didn't elaborate. He's the new owner of Old Money. Her mouth opened so wide I could see the gold crown she had on her last molar. You're going to sleep with your boss? Ooh, that's not wise. She went straight for the boss issue, but didn't mention the mob connection. I'm going to marry my boss. Besides, he fired me. Sleeping with him was off the table. This was a marriage in name only, though the thought of me and Alex in bed made my panties wet. That's right. She counted her fingers like they were part of an abacus. Oh my God, you're going to be rich. She slapped her hands on the table and winced. I get a room discount, right? Laughter bubbled up inside me. I'm sure I can arrange something. I wasn't sure at all, but at least I had Trish behind me, even if it were only for the perks she'd get by association. When's the wedding? After Alex and I had come to an arrangement, we settled on a quick ceremony tonight in Gadsby's where we had met. It seemed fitting, and it was a venue that wouldn't be booked given its location and lack of patrons. Alex said he'd make the arrangements. All I needed to do was show up in a dress and have a witness. See, mistakes. Tonight, since you're no longer working, you can be my witness. Tonight? Why so fast? It's what we want. She shrugged. Let me see that ring. She pulled my hand to her. Have you checked to make sure the diamonds are real? Don't be ridiculous. The truth was I had. I'd pulled the stones across many surfaces, etching proof into the mirror in the lobby bathroom and several glasses. It's real. I lifted my hand and admired the ring. He said he picked it out because it reminded him of my eyes. Trish shook her head. I hate you. You might like me more when I tell you that our last month's rent is paid and the electricity is back on. As soon as I agreed, Mrs. Price was notified and she went straight to work. She wasn't a fan of the plan, but Alex was her new boss and she was honor-bound to serve him. How she had electricity on by the time I got back home was a miracle. When the landlord greeted me at the door with a smile, I was more than shocked. I think I'm in love with your future husband. Does he have a brother? Yes, he has 2. I got the impression that Alex couldn't care less about Old Money, casino, or the riches it brought him. What he cared about was his family and doing right by them. That touched my heart in a way I couldn't explain. What about a sister? You know, I'm not that picky. No sister. Trish reached across the table for one of my fries and swiped it through a lake of ketchup. Will I meet them? Nope, they won't be present. One has a commitment. I didn't add that he had another few months in prison. The other one is at Harvard. You'll have to settle for being a friend of the bride. Are you doing the whole white wedding? I don't think so. We're both simple people. All we want is to be married. Another truth, because marrying Alex was the answer to all my current problems. People talked about white knights, and given that Alex was the new head of the Wild Syndicate, he was more like a black knight. Either way, I was being rescued. I think a nice dress will suffice. Trish sank into the booth across from me. Seriously, this will be your only wedding, and you're going to wear a sundress? I didn't say sundress. If you haven't noticed, my resources are limited. Vera Wang is out of the question. If your fiancé could wave a magic wand in the air and get our rent paid and our utilities taken care of, surely he can dress you appropriately for a wedding. Trish had a point. I'd call Mrs. Price and see what was expected of me. Maybe there was some kind of stipend available for a dress. I'll see what I can do. If I dress up, that means you have to too. There was one thing I knew about Trish. The last time she wore a dress was at her grandmother's funeral. She paired it with black leggings and biker boots. You have to wear a dress with heels, no leggings, no boots, and you'll have to be a real girl. She eyed me for a moment. All right, Geppetto, it's a deal. That alone was worth the phone call to Mrs. Price. Trish left while I called her. Hello, Faye, how are you? I pulled my phone away and looked at the screen, making sure I didn't press video chat. How'd you know it was me? I'm paid to know these things. The smile in her voice could be heard. Caller ID. The rumble of her laughter set me at ease. I'm a little lost. Given the time constraints, I was hoping you could offer advice about dress requirements for a quickie wedding. I was just going to call you. I've taken the liberty to make a private appointment at Camille's. I can't afford Camille's. If there was ever a fantasy wedding dress shop, it was Camille's. But fantasy came with a big sticker price. I was sure I couldn't afford a sequin, much less an entire dress, and although Alex could afford Camille's, it seemed such a waste for something that would not last. Not to worry, dear, your future husband will take care of it. My heart sunk when I heard those words. I'd promised myself I'd never get married. I'd never allow another man into my wounded heart. But here I was, talking wedding dresses to marry my future husband. I had to remember this wasn't about love. It was about money for me and family for him. I'm sure my future husband would prefer not to spend that kind of money. The one thing I liked about Alex was his candid nature and lack of pretense. He didn't get that way from being indulged. He probably wouldn't even notice what I wore tonight. Alex said, you get whatever you want. Play the part you're hired for and play it well. Right. Okay. That put it into perspective. I was playing a part. Anything less than an Oscar-worthy performance could be problematic, deadly if I listened to my gut instincts. Then again, I thought my last man had loved me, which proved my instincts sucked. I have to keep reminding myself it's not real. Mrs. Price laughed. I know you don't think it's real. I also know we often fake it until we make it. Who knows what can happen? I wasn't sure what her point was. I looked down at the ring Alex said he'd picked out himself. One more thing. Did you pick out my ring? No. Mr. Wilde did that himself. In fact, he said if he was getting married, he'd at least do the right thing by you when it came to the ring. Okay, thanks. Faye, Mrs. Price said before she hung up, get the dress of your dreams. You only get married for the first time once. I sat in front of an almost empty tray of fries and called Trish. We have a fitting appointment in an hour at Camille's. Holy shit, she said. Can I wear a black dress? I laughed. Yes, if it's mini and backless and you wear heels. She sucked in a breath. Anything but red, okay? I may be a hoe, but I don't want to look like one. The next call was the hardest. It took 10 minutes for my mother to believe I was truly getting married. She was convinced I'd be giving her a grandchild within 6 months, no matter how much I told her otherwise. It wasn't until I asked her to meet me at Camille's in an hour that she took me seriously. The last call went to Alex. He picked up on the third ring. Not having second thoughts, are you? His deep voice flowed over me like heated syrup. It didn't matter that the marriage was fake. The way he made my insides twist and turn in heat was real. Yes, second and third and fourth, but I'm still committed. I'm checking in to make sure you are. I'll be there with bells on. No bells necessary, but could you do me a favor and wear a tuxedo? Although this isn't the real deal, it's real for my mother. Besides, if you only wore bells, your bits would show. Not sure I want to share my fake husband with anybody else. He laughed. Sweetheart, no one has ever called my parts bits. I picked up a fry and drew hearts into the ketchup. I'll never know, but while we're on the subject, I looked around to make sure no one was within hearing distance. Will you see others while we're married? He coughed. I've never thought about it. I suppose we could be discreet if you wanted to see others, but honestly, I can keep my pants on for a short time. Well, for the short time we'll be together. A whoosh of air left my chest. I'd appreciate that. It will humiliate me enough to fail at marriage. I couldn't take it if my husband cheated. Faye, I'll be faithful to you. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Likewise. Is there anything else you need? I wanted to say yes. I needed a lot, like a hug for courage and a smack to the side of my head for sanity. No, I was only checking in. See you tonight, Faye. And there you have it. A chapter of Betting on Him with a few mistakes. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you let me know what you think. Thanks.